Can I run a payroll for my son who is 18 years old to manage my real estate properties? What is the maximum amount that I can pay him to support me in my business? Can I pay him $2,000 a month? What do you say?
You certainly can run a payroll. In fact, we highly recommend it. You'll hear us talk a lot about that, paying children, even if they are over 17 or 18. The amount it has to be reasonable. So as to the maximum, there isn't necessarily any limit. It's just that whatever, you have to be reasonable for the services that the child is providing. That's typically always the case for payment. And so you certainly can 2,000 if that's reasonable for what the service is being provided, then certainly you could pay 2,000 per month.
Yeah, it all comes down to what could you pay a third party? What would be a reasonable compensation? So the fact that your son is 18 years old doesn't really matter. It's about what they're doing. So, I use the example of the 9-year-old that was doing work that was payable, comparable to the Screen Actors Guild. It was actually a court case. And they said they're getting too much, but no, they would have qualified to be under the Screen Actors Guild for the type of work they were doing. And that was the amount, those hourly wages. It was like $300 an hour. It's like some really high amount, if I'm not mistaken, that they were able to be paid. So it matters what they're doing. So if they're doing tech, it's really high. If they're sweeping a floor, you can't pay them more than what the going rate is for somebody who sleeps the floor, but it's a range. You don't have to pay the bottom of the range. You could certainly pay the top. 2,000 a month doesn't scare me at all, right? And if they're working on your real estate properties, here's the deal. If let's say they make $24,000 a year, the first $13,850, that's their standard deduction, zero tax. The rest of it is at 10%. So if you think about this, what if you had made the $24,000 and just paid for things for them, and you're at a higher tax bracket? Like it's not even close. You're going to save thousands of dollars by doing it this way. You do need to run it through payroll though, if they're 18 years old. And you can't get away from doing the employment taxes if they were 17. So if they were under 18, you could get away with the employment taxes if it was paid out of a real estate partnership. In this particular case, you're going to have to pay them either as a 1099, which means you're paying them as an independent contractor and they pay their employment taxes, or you're going to run it through payroll and you're going to pay the half of the employment taxes and they're going to pay half, right? So at the end of the day, my answer is yes, you could do it. I'd probably run it through payroll once a year, twice a year, 4 times a year, whatever works for you, and pay them that way. But it's a great way to save money.
And I would just add, Toby talked about this. I don't remember when we did the tax plan, if that was last week or earlier this week. It goes so fast. I think it was last week. Make sure we get it paid before year end. Okay. We always run into this problem. December 31st comes up. Don't wait that long. Make sure you have plenty of time to find a payroll service to help you out. That's not last minute, because they're going to ask you for a lot of documents probably, et cetera. So maybe, late November.
It was last week, and it's for our tax clients. Yeah. We do year-end tax planning events, and we also do tax-wise business ownership, which is, what are they doing them every other week?
Yes. Yep. We talked about that a lot, and that's a big thing. I can't stress enough. Get it paid before year end. Year
end. So you want to get it out of this tax year where cash basis taxpayers, which means you write the check before the end of the year. It's good, even if they cash it the following year.
Yep.
Which, by the way, is a great way to get an expense. So like if you have a landlord, this is silly. I don't even know why I'm going down this, but you could prepay expenses that you would incur in the next 12 months. It's a safe harbor. So if you have a bunch of profit this year and you're like, oh my gosh, I got all this money, pay something ahead of time. So like maybe pay your lease a year in advance, let your landlord know, but write that check on December 30th and mail it. And then they deposit it in January. They pay tax in 2024, you get a deduction in 2023. It works. Fun stuff. But this is all about them kids. Get them kids working. It's better than just like if this 18-year-old, like you're paying for their college, stop it. Pay them and let them pay for their college, because now you get a deduction. And that's what it comes down to. Hey guys, if you like this snippet of Tax Tuesday, then I invite you to click the link and actually subscribe to become a Tax Tuesday member. Every other week, we do these live, and you too can ask your questions, and myself and my team will answer your questions on the next Tax Tuesday.